Imagine a room so quiet you can hear your own blood moving through your veins. A room so silent that the sound of your own heartbeat becomes deafening. Scientists build this room. Almost nobody can stay inside it for more than 45 minutes. 45 minutes. And today, we're going to find out exactly what your brain does when you take away one thing that it does listening to its entire life. Let's roll. First, what is even this place? The word anechoic literally means without echo. And these rooms are engineered to absorb virtually all sounds reflection. The walls, the floors, the ceilings are all covered in these giant foam wedges. And they are not just for aesthetics. Though, I will admit, they look like the inside of a safe house. The most famous one is Orfield Laboratories in Minneapolis. It holds the Guinness World Record for the quietest place on earth, measuring at negative 9.4 decibels. For instance, a whisper is 30 decibels. A library is 40. The threshold of human hearing is 0 decibels. This place, this room, it's negative. It's quieter than quiet. It's absence of sound itself. And here is the kicker. The room is so well insulated that it sits on springs inside a concrete shell, inside another concrete shell. This to prevent any vibration from outside world sneaking in this room. It's basically a room inside a room inside a room. It's like a Russian nesting dolls, but for terror. Alright, you walk in, the door closes, and the first few minutes, it's actually kind of nice. Your nervous system starts to decompress, the heart rate slows, your cortisol, that's your stress hormones, begins to drop. Scientists have actually studied this brief exposure to silence can be more restorative than listening to relaxing music. A 2006 study published in the journal Heart found out that 2 minutes of silence was more relaxing than any music tested, including the Mozart. So, for a moment, you feel like a monk who is just achieved enlightenment. And then your brain starts to panic. See, here's the thing about your brain. It's never actually quiet. It's even when you're in a silent room, your brain is constantly receiving input. The hum of an air conditioner, traffic outside, the sound of your own breathing. It uses all of this as kinda background calibration. And your brain goes, wait, where the hell is data? And this is where it gets genuinely juicy and a little terrifying, I'll be honest. Your auditory cortex, the part of your brain that processes sounds, doesn't just sit there quietly when there is no sound. No, it starts generating its own noise. This is called auditory pareidolia, or more accurately, spontaneous neurofiring. Your brain, desperate for input, starting creating phantom sounds. People in anechoic chambers report hearing things like a high-pitched ringing, that's your nervous system. A low rhythmic thudding, that's your heartbeat. A whooshing sound, that's your blood moving through your ears. And in longer sessions, voices, music, sounds that aren't there. The founder of Orfield Laboratories, Stephen Orfield, has said that virtually everyone who stays long enough begins to hallucinate. Not because they are crazy, but because the brain so desperate for sensory input, up to point of inventing it. This is actually the same mechanism behind sensory deprivation tanks. Those float pods people pay $80 an hour to sit in, except in those you are floating in salt water in the dark. In these anechoic chambers, you're just sitting in a chair alone with your thoughts and your blood, which is honestly sounds worse. So, why can people stay longer than 45 minutes? Let's break down the psychological cascade, shall we? You feel the ecstasy, pure meditation calm. You feel like you finally escaped the noise in the modern life, 5 to 15 minutes, your brain starts to noticing the silence. You become hyper aware of your own body. You can hear your stomach digesting. Your joints creak when you shift. Every swallow, it's like a thunderclap. 15 to 30 minutes, anxiety begins to creep in. This is called sensory deprivation anxiety. Your brain, which evolved in a world full of sounds, predators, wind, other humans, interprets total silence as a threat signal. I can't hear anything. Something must be very wrong. 30 to 45 minutes. This is where it gets wild. Spatial disorientation kicks in. Without ambient sound, your brain loses its ability to accurately where it is in the space. People report feeling like the room is shrinking or expanding, or that they are floating, and hence the hallucinations. Auditory first, sometimes visual. Your brain, starved of input, start running old memories, old sounds, old patterns. Some people hear their mother's voice. Can you imagine? Some hear music from childhood. Some hear things they can't even explain at all. The record for the longest time in an anechoic chamber is reportedly 3 hours and 47 minutes. The person who did it described it as the most terrifying and profound experience of his life. He said that in the same sentence. But here is the part I find most mind-blowing. And this is where we go from cool science video to genuinely rethinking your existence. The fact that your brain hallucinates in silence doesn't mean your brain is broken. No, it doesn't. It means your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's a prediction machine. It doesn't passively receive reality. It actively constructs it every moment of every day. Your brain is taking incomplete sensory data and filling in the gaps with its own guess for stuff. When you walk into a room and see a chair, you don't actually see the chair in full details because your brain sees a rough outline and fills the rest based on what every chair it's ever seen before. This is called predictive processing, and it's a foundation of modern neuroscience. The anechoic chamber strips away all the data your brain uses to make those predictions, and so your brain does only one thing it knows how to do, making stuff up, which means this is the part that should keep you up at night. You're always, to some degree, hallucinating. Reality is your experience. It is a controlled hallucination generated by your brain based on incomplete data. You're welcome. But seriously, this is why the anechoic chamber is such a powerful scientific tool. This is not just a weird room. It's just a window into the raw, unfiltered machinery of human consciousness. When you remove all the external inputs, you get to see what the brain does when it's left alone with itself. And apparently, what it does, freak out and start hearing jazzes. Here's the irony of all this. We live in the noisiest era in human history. The average person is experienced to more sound stimulation in a single day than your ancestors experienced in a month. Notifications, traffic, music, podcast, TV in the background. We've become addicted to auditory input. Most people can't even sit in silence for 60 seconds. 60 seconds without reaching their phone. A 2014 study at the University of Virginia, everything is done in Virginia, they found out that people would rather themselves have mild electric shocks than sit alone in their thoughts for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's less than an episode of a sitcom. Weird. Crazy. Anechoic chamber shows us what happens at the extreme end of silence to something we are all quietly running from because we're afraid of our own minds. And we fill every moment with noise, avoid listening to them. Maybe the most radical thing that you can do in 2026 isn't go viral. Just sit in silence for 5 minutes and just let your brain be weird. The world's quietest room isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's a proof that your brain is constantly working, constantly creating, constantly trying to make a sense of a world that doesn't always give it enough to work with. And the next time you're sitting in a silence and you hear something that isn't there, don't panic. That's just your brain doing a job in a very, very weird way. If this video made your brain hurt, very good. That means it's working. Drop a comment telling me, how do you think you could last in the world's quietest room? I'm genuinely curious. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, where I will be probably exploring something else that makes you question your nature of reality. You're welcome again.